Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and we try to identify an aspect of the race we might look back on later as having been the best guide to finding the winner. Well, Sunday at Sha Tin, and the first race we're going to take a look at here is race 8 and our winning factor, the sectionals. And this features the return of one of the more exciting young horses in Hong Kong at the moment, Skyfield, from the Casper Founds yard. He's only had the 3 starts, 1 win, but he does have a little bit of opposition stepping up to Class 3 this time. The top weight, In a Flame, has shown he is no pushover. 5 starts for 4 wins, and even down the foot of the handicap. True Legend has won twice last season as a 3-year-old, and he has a knockout chance with the lightweight. But the market focus is certainly going to be here on 2 horses in particular, In a Flame and Skyfield. So let's take a look at what they've been doing. And first of all, In a Flame. We're going to go back to his most recent start. Now this is in May, and in red and white colours here, In a Flame races on the speed as he normally does, sharing the lead against the inside in what was just an even sort of a speed. He kicks away. He's not flashy at the finish. He wins by only a half length, and his finishing sectionals weren't all that exciting. But he was also never in any danger of losing, and he might turn out to be one of those horses who only does what he has to do to win and doesn't win by fancy margins. And he does look to have returned well this season, judging by his recent barrier trial. And we go back to August 28, and here you'll see him, as usual, good speed. He's handy to the leaders towards the centre of the track. Alexi Bedell, his jockey, doesn't do a lot on him in the final stages and lets him coast down to the line, and he just gets pipped by another smart horse, California Rad, who tracked him all the way, was just shaken up a little by Karis Teeton, and he certainly made that look good. They ran the best times of that trial session, but also California Rad came out of that to win well on Wednesday night at Happy Valley. So In a Flame looks all in order for Douglas White as he resumes for the season. And then we get to Skyfield. Now he hasn't trialled, but in contrast to In a Flame, he raced right up to the end of last campaign. In fact, the second last meeting, and that was where he won in Class 4. And here is the win that is going to make him the short price favourite on Sunday. In green and yellow colours, you see him, he's towards the rear of the field, the same way he's raced every start he's had, but he was suited by a good pace. You can see on the heat map there, there was pretty good tempo early in this race, and in the home straight, Joe Moreira slices through the field from the top of the straight as Skyfield comes through to win in emphatic style, albeit against pretty modest opposition. Now, in contrast to his first 2 runs in defeat, when Skyfield ran easily the best final 400 metre section of the entire meeting, on that particular day he ranked only 12th for finishing speed on the day, and there were a couple of reasons for that. One was that the leaders went a good clip and came back to him in the home straight, but also, as you can see there, Joe Moreira didn't really pressure him to run as fast as he could over the final 100 metres, so he probably could have improved a little on that finishing sectional. Also, because of the wide margin going into Sunday's race, we don't see him with quite as big a weight drop as you normally get coming out of Class 4 into Class 3. The handicapper put him up 14 points for that win, so there is a weight drop, but not the huge chunk of weight we normally see. Now on the map, you'll see that he and his main rival, In a Flame, are polar opposites here tactically. Now, In a Flame, drawn inside, he's a horse who could lead, or he might choose to sit just behind 3 light-weighted horses here who could be the ones swabbling over the early lead. He has that versatility, In a Flame. While on the other hand, all we've seen from Skyfield so far is a horse who gets a long way back in his races and needs that finishing sprint to put him into the race over the final 200 metres. And this race, I'm sure we're going to see him back there again. A little bit smaller field than a capacity field at Sha Tin, so that will help Skyfield, but he is going to give away a head start. So In a Flame most likely is the horse going to the front at the 250 metre mark and at least putting himself into the finish at that point, while Skyfield will have some traffic to negotiate, but that's where his acceleration comes in. So the tip in race 8 is Skyfield. His winning factor, the sectionals. He does have to give a start to his main rival here, but he's an exciting horse. He runs very quick times when he lets down, and I think that can get him out of trouble here and into the winners list once again. The other race I'm going to take a look at is the final race, race 10, and here the winning factor, the stable change. Now I think the major chances stand out in this race. At the top of the weights, Circuit Glory and Star of Yuen Long were both in the finish of a similar race last time they appeared in July behind Orr. Craig Star is very honest and races on the speed, and despite how it looks on paper, he has been going better recently than it might appear. And down at the foot of the weights we have So We Joy having his first run for David Hayes, up in grade, and he is where I want to concentrate our attention. Now, as expected, Hayes made a winning entry to, or re-entry to Hong Kong racing last Sunday on opening day with 2 victories, and that was well anticipated. But I want to highlight that so far Hong Kong racing has had 18 races in the new season. 6 have been won by horses having a change of trainer. And this is one of my favourite angles in Hong Kong racing. As you may have heard me say on this show before, I do think it's possible to win on Hong Kong just by making a study of trainer changes for horses. And so far this season, that is playing out again. But I want to highlight something in particular, and we look at this graphic now, and this shows you the last 12 years. We have on the left side the new trainers and how their stable changes went. Now obviously if you're a new trainer, most of your horses to kick off with certainly are going to be stable change horses, so you'd expect them to get winners out of them. But on the right hand side you see listed the stable changes for all trainers in those seasons. And what I pay attention to here is that when we have a new trainer, it does seem to be a tide that lifts all boats, that stable changes for all stables seem to go a lot better. And we're seeing that play out again this season. So that's something to keep in mind throughout the current season. And it's certainly something that I think plays in favour of So We Joy. So let's take a look at his most recent run when he was still with John Moore, and we go back to July here, and you see on the heat map this is the race won by Some Street Somewhere, and it was quite well run, quite truly run, and you see here he's in pink colours, So We Joy. He's in midfield but runs on strongly over the final stages to beat all but the winner, and shows good determination under his 133 pounds in this race. Now that was class 4 and he goes into class 3 on Sunday, but he gets a massive weight drop here and in my view that more than compensates for a rise in competition into what is not an overly strong class 3. He's also had 2 nice barrier trials to get him ready for this run, and the only thing that slows me down a little bit about his prospects is the map. It's a race without a lot of speed. I expect Star of Yuen Long and Craig Star to be very prominent and attempting to control the tempo up front, while So We Joy, we've seen him mostly racing in midfield in the past, but perhaps here with some cover from a slightly tricky barrier 8. And he would prefer conditions where the leaders are running along and coming back to him. That's probably not going to happen, but I'm hoping that Joe Moreira will keep in mind his mount has only a light weight. His major rivals all have quite a bit more in the saddle, and I hope he'll make use of that fact to offset the tempo disadvantage. So the tip in race 10, So We Joy. His winning factor, the stable change. David Hayes has kicked off once again with winners in his second round in Hong Kong, and we're seeing that stable changes are once again a very potent force in the outcomes of races in Hong Kong. I think So We Joy has all the necessary to be able to continue that run. Well, that's it from the Winning Factor this week. Good luck on Sunday. We'll see you next time.